Howdy folks, how you doing? Haussmann here, and I have reached that point in my YouTube career where I am legally required to talk about Armless Tiger Man. Armless Tiger Man. His name is actually just Tiger Man, the Armless is more of a descriptor. His name is actually Gustav Hertz, but not the Gustav Hertz that did all the science experiments and stuff. He actually won the Nobel Prize in 1925. He confirmed the quantum theory that energy can be absorbed in atoms only in definite amounts. I mean, it's more than I've ever done with atoms. But we're not here to talk about that Gustav Hertz. We're here to talk about the Gustav Hertz that is a fictional character in the Marvel Universe that worked for the Germans during the Second World War and got his arms ripped off by a machine, and because of that found a hatred for both Americans and machines. Either way, it's a weird name to have as your gamertag, Jake. So we have to go back to 1941 to Marvel Mystery Comics number 26. Now, we're not going to talk about the Human Torch story in this one. We're not going to talk about the Strawberry Blonde Namor story. We're not going to talk about the Vision story. We're not going to talk about the Kazar story. We're not even going to talk about the Terry Vance story. And we're going to skip right past the Patriot story because we're looking for the last story in this book about the Angel, because that's where the Armless Tiger Man showed up. Man, you really get a lot for 10 cents back then. The Angel was Thomas Holloway, and he was a private detective who turned into a crime fighter. He was a lot like Batman, except he had a magical cape, and he didn't really look like Batman, but he was just basically a crime fighter. One of many that Marvel had created back in the days of the war. Timely comics. Essentially, he was just a costume crime fighter who usually did not go overseas, although he did sometimes go overseas. He generally stayed in America and fought the bad guys that were coming here, and Armless Tiger Man was one of those cases. It's a story from the 40s, so it is weird. The Tiger Man is in America because he wants to destroy some factories that are making stuff, obviously, stop the war effort here. He kills a guy that gives him some information, and then the Angel gets word of the murder and is looking into that. And he actually tracks the Tiger Man down due to his taste in German wine, because everybody's like, well, you can't get that German wine here. We don't trade with Germany right now. And he's like, bah, I guess I want that wine. So that's what gets him onto the Angel's radar. And then he beats the Angel up and runs away. But then Angel goes to the factory and beats him up. And once he has him captured, that's where the real important part of the story comes. It's generic. It's actually quite good for the time. Some of it's quite interesting. But he catches the Tiger Man, and Tiger Man's like, hey, so do you want to know my origin? And he's like, yeah, I guess we got time while the cops are coming. So... and Gustav Hertz was this guy, and he worked in a German plant, and a machine ripped both his arms off, and he's like, well, now I hate machines. And he trained himself to use his teeth to do stuff, and to use his legs to do stuff. He's like, as a result, my jaw got really muscular and gave me this weird look, and sharpened his teeth. And that was the Armless Tiger Man. That was his only appearance ever, till 2009. I really like the golden age of comics. Not so much the comics themselves, but the characters. I like that World War II era. I like a lot of stuff that came after, telling stories about that time, but I like the more, like the Invaders are great, but I like the Blue Diamond and the Vision and the Angel and these other more obscure characters from the time. Red Raven is one of my favorites, like just those guys. I think they're great. So back in about 2003, I was looking into these things. And I came across Armless Tiger Man. I am by no means saying I discovered Armless Tiger Man because people had already done a bunch of stuff on him. But I did create the Wikipedia page, Armless Tiger Man. I typed it all up, and I was like, there, Armless Tiger Man now has his Wikipedia entry, and I feel good about that. And then it got deleted, and I got a message from Wikipedia saying, nah, this is a one-off character, he's not important. Hello, darkness, my old friend. And that broke my heart. It didn't actually break my heart, but it was just... Ice Scream had a Wikipedia entry at the time, and he was only ever in one comic. So I felt really hurt that Armless Tiger Man wasn't worthy. I see now he does have an entry under Marvel characters, starting with A. Paul Gustafson is the one that created the Tiger Man. I guess it's worth noting. He wrote, drew, inked, and lettered that segment of the issue. So yeah, he did pretty much the entire creation of Armless Tiger Man. So not quite 70 years and one failed Wikipedia page later, Armless Tiger Man did show up again in Greg Pak's Incredible Hercules. Issue number 129, I believe, and he stuck around for a couple of issues, did nothing of consequence, but Hercules and Amadeus Cho had to die to go to Hades to save Zeus. And we got to see a whole bunch of dead characters playing in this casino where they were trying to win their freedom back to go back to life, because they were kind of acknowledging that people don't die for long, they come back to life. There's Blink, look at that. Blink! And Hades had this whole army of dead bad guys up, Baron Zemo, Jackal, Jack-o'-lantern, Orca, and Armless Tiger Man. And they fought with Hercules, and like I said, nothing really happened. After a few issues, I guess Hades had promised them their freedom, but they didn't get it, so they turned on him and stuff. But it was just really a nice surprise to see Armless Tiger Man thrown in there. But now you're probably wondering, if Armless Tiger Man was captured in 1941, but then in Hades in 2009, what happened? How did he die? Because it wasn't old age, because he's a young man while he's in Hades. That question would be answered by Reginald Hudlin the next year in 2010, when he wrote an amazing miniseries called Captain America Black Panther, The Flags of Our Fathers. It was actually a really great World War II story that I hadn't read until I started researching this video. And essentially, Red Skull wants to go to Wakanda during World War II. So Captain America, along with Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos, go to save the day, to help save the day. The Wakandans do a lot of the heavy lifting. But Red Skull and Baron Strucker took with them Mastermind, Warrior Woman, and Armless Tiger Man. And while a lot of the battle is taking place over here, and there's a huge fight going on with most of the characters, Armless Tiger Man sneaks off and he's doing his own little subterfuge thing over here, and he's actually going to kill T'Chaka as a boy, who is Black Panther T'Challa's father. And Armless Tiger Man's like, got him, and he's like, I'm gonna bite this kid's neck right off, because I'm also a cannibal. But Gabe Jones, one of the Howling Commandos, comes in and shoots Armless Tiger Man right in the head, and you see his brains spilled out and everything. So that definitively answers how and when Armless Tiger Man died. And a little fun fact, around this time there was a game on Facebook called Marvel Avengers Alliance. I really liked it, I played it a lot, probably more than I should have. And they're releasing like a second season, as it were, with a bunch of villains. And then they did this Days of Future Past homage cover with Armless Tiger Man like front and center on the cover, and that kind of just blew my mind. I was like, somebody really dug deep into the obscure, because he wasn't featured in the game or anything. He was just on this one piece of artwork for it. But really, that is a big swing. I bet you a lot of people, actually I know for a fact a lot of people said like, what? Who is this? But that was the last time Armless Tiger Man showed up. Until 2019. Frank Thierry, John Cirilli, and Jacob Chabot gave us Ziggy Pig and Silly Seal, a one-shot. Ziggy Pig and Silly Seal. Ziggy Pig and Silly Seal were characters also from the 40s in this weird, wacky, like just, they were funnies. They weren't part of the superhero books. They were like the Bugs Bunny stuff, as it were. Not quite. Back in the day, there were a lot of comics about talking animals, and they were funny. Ah, ha, ha, ha. So that's what this was. This was just a throwback to those days, although it's actually a really fun read. Obviously, I question the canonicity of this book, whether it fits into the canon or not, because there are talking animals, but at the same time, Howard the Duck is fully canon, so I can accept this. I can also accept this simply because it shows that Armless Tiger Man fought his way out of Hades and back to the living. At one point, the characters visit the alley behind a closed-down laundromat Comic-Con. There's a lot of stuff seen in the background, a lot of fun jokes there, but in one particular panel, behind Method Man, Armless Tiger Man has a booth where he is, I guess, signing autographs with his feet. But he's alive. So there's that. Those 7 issues comprise the entire history of Armless Tiger Man. I am not the first YouTuber to do about it, but maybe I'm the first one that you've seen talk about Armless Tiger Man. Because, I don't know, I just think the design is great. I would love to do a cosplay, but I'm not that committed. But I would love a Marvel Legend action figure of him. I forgot to record an outro, so here I am. If you enjoyed this, please like it. That really does help this whole thing grow, I guess. Share it with people that you want to have know about Armless Tiger Man. Or subscribe for more. There's more coming. A lot of Moon Knight content coming up in the near future, so if you're ready for Moon Knight, there's that coming. And then I'm working on something very big in the future about something. So have a good week. Shazam.